from the Asian Community Development Council. This is Family in Focus, Mondays at 12 noon on PHLV Radio.
Hi everyone, welcome back to this episode of Family in Focus. We're live at noon today on Monday after the Easter holiday, so hopefully everybody had a good weekend. We're doing this episode today on a very important topic because a lot of people talking about this, especially in the Asian American Pacific Islander community. We're talking about self-defense. You've heard lots and lots of incidents across the country, which is really sad to hear about violence, of course, against the Asian American community. People of all ages, being attacked here, and the violence is just really been horrible. We've talked about, we brought up issues of mental health over the past couple of weeks. We've talked to law enforcement as well, just talking about this issue that a lot of people are concerned about. And that's why we want to bring up today as part of our Family in Focus series. So we're talking about self-defense because I think this is important, not just for, the physical part of it, but for the mental part of it, right? We want to feel like we're ready in case something happens. And I have two experts joining us on this show today. We have Grandmaster Ian Sanchez. He is the founder and president of Paldakan Do International. So he's joining us from California. So I'm going to have him talk a little bit about his expertise and what he does coming up in a little bit. And he offers classes actually online across the country. You can join here. And here in Las Vegas, we have Professor Denise Gonzales. She is a Judo Jujitsu instructor at the Las Vegas Kung Fu Academy. She also teaches women's self-defense, crime prevention, and legal awareness clinics across the country. Thank you so much to both Denise and Ian for joining us on the show today. And as you can imagine, it's been such a tough time, I think, for so many of us in the Asian American community. So I'm so thankful to have you both talk about what you do, what we need to know, what we can learn, things to think about, especially when it comes to protecting ourselves and our family in times like this. So why don't I start with Grandmaster Ian Sanchez. Ian, talk to us a little bit first about what you do and your background.
Well, to begin with, I started doing martial arts since I was 8 years old. And at the age of 16, I started teaching. And at 19 to 21 years old, my first job was bodyguard of my uncle in the province in the Philippines. And with that being said, I started thinking something that I've learned a lot from my teachers, that how to do this and how to do that. But I felt that day, that moment, that there's something missing. And I call it the missing piece. And so ever since that day, I said, okay, then speed is not enough. Then I have to do something more than that. And that's what I started thinking about prevention. I have an uncle who's a doctor who was telling me that prevention is better than cure. So I was thinking that it is easier for me to teach my students how to punch and kick, but to teach them how to prevent things from happening, I guess it's much more way safer and more effective.
Right. So you started teaching back in the Philippines and you came to the U.S. later, right? So to continue.
That is correct. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So what are you doing now?
Sorry?
So what are you doing now? You teach classes here in the U.S.
I teach classes here, yes, online, especially ever since the pandemic started. And then, and it's good for me, but I'm still surprised because mostly adults are still wanting to learn actual, because martial art is really more in physical training. Can't really learn anything just by watching. I mean, mentally, yes, but physically it has to have that attention or focus. And like I said, what I teach is all the things that happens in the real world. I don't teach numbers like step 2. Everything that you can think of outside. What if somebody pulls your hair? What if somebody grabs your bag? What if you go, let's say Christmas season, you go shopping, everyone is busy shopping and the bad guys are busy as well. So what are the things that you need to do and prepare when you go out the parking lot? You do always those things, like you just go straight to your car, put your groceries and done. And then after all that, somebody behind you because you're not aware. You're missing something in there. So what I do is all the things that I've learned when I was a bodyguard, which is prevention. It's we call it 180 degrees awareness. So if I teach that to a student, it will help out. It will be a big difference. It may sound complicated, but it's so basics. But it's a type of basics which is simple but effective.
And I think that's what people want to hear, because I think now they're more interested than ever. At least people in my circle, want to take self-defense classes. And Professor Denise Gonzalez, I want you to bring you into this conversation now, because we're here in Las Vegas, and you actually teach this class right now, Judo, Jujitsu, at the Las Vegas Kung Fu Academy. And talk to us about the essence of what you teach and your background coming into this, because I know you lived in California for quite some time, right?
Yes. I've been doing martial arts for 57 years, long time. So I started when I was 12, and my uncle was actually an instructor in Hawaii. And so his best friend was Professor Wally J., which was out in Alameda. So that's who I originally learned from. And I was a judo competitor. I started judo, and that was the whole thing. I loved the grappling. I loved the interaction. And when I turned 18, I was actually attacked. And during that time, I realized I had made a lot of mistakes. Now, fortunately, I wasn't raped, I wasn't kidnapped or anything, and I managed to fight off my assailant by using my martial arts. However, it also made me realize that, being 18, I thought I was immortal. And so therefore, I needed to teach everyone else how to take care of themselves, not to do what I did, not to be a silly teenager and neglectful of my environment, which I should have been more cautious at that time. Since then, I was really starting to teach awareness and to be able to take care of yourself. Like Ian was saying, those are extremely important things. We have to point out awareness before just self-defense. Self-defense is common sense. It really is. And doing what we do is we want to inspire people to realize the little things, like don't walk around with your cell phone in your hand. Don't be talking on your cell phone at the same time. Pay attention to what you're doing. Understand your environment, where your escapes are, your exit are. Don't put yourself in jeopardy. Don't leave your purse in a shopping cart. Little things that are common sense that we don't really think about because it's a natural thing that we do. So that's why it's important for Ian and I and other instructors to be able to make people aware it's not just, self-defense. It's not just punching, kicking, hitting, whatever. It's not all about that. It's awareness and learning how to take care of yourself.
And Denise, I want to get your take on this, as a woman, and you've seen quite a few, women and men, Asian Americans, sometimes quite a bit older, all the elderly population getting attacked in broad daylight and just, seeing kind of the vulnerability of people, especially when they're older. Are there things that we can do, people of all ages, to protect ourselves and to be as safe as possible, even when something as immediate like that happen? Are there things that we can do, or we're seeing something like that happen, what we can do to protect people around us?
So, more than anything else, like I said, it's teaching awareness. Teaching, if you're vulnerable, then you should be with somebody, a companion of some sort, or, friend or relative, especially when they're a lot older. And actually even walking down the sidewalk and seeing somebody approach you. If you don't feel comfortable and you're vulnerable, either cross the street or go into a store that's right there. Little things that would make a lot easier. I'm 68 years old, so I'm reaching that point where I can understand what older people and the fears that they have. And taking care of my elderly parents before they passed, I saw how vulnerable they were, going to the ATM, bringing their wallet out, and not paying attention because it's hard for them to see in their wallet. Little things like that, we want to make people aware. These are the things that you need to do. You need to have somebody help you, or you need to be in a safer environment so that you don't have that concern of fear.
And Ian, let me bring you in here. What goes through your mind? I mean, when you conduct these trainings for years, when you see attacks like that happen, what's the first thing that you think of, and what do you tell your students to when they come to situations like that?
Well, we will use the scenario you're asking, Denise, and I totally agree with Denise. That we instructors here, there's a saying that goes, if you put students in different styles, there's problem. But if you put teachers or instructors in the same room, there's peace. So we all have, as instructors, have the same goal, not to teach, but to guide, because we can't really teach somebody. We can only guide them to bring out their best. Find their weak spot and strength is one of the basic thing that we do to our students. So it's not really typically punching and kicking, because most kids right now just watch too much movies. But the real martial art essence of martial art is about life. It's discovering yourself, So I'm going to use your example about when I conducted a woman's self-defense every year here in Santa Clara County, and mostly in libraries. And then there's a woman who came and approached me and asked a question. And there's 85 attendees that time. So she was trying and testing me. I said, okay, Grandmaster Ian, are you going to teach us how to use the knife? I said, no. What do we came here for? I thought you got to teach us how to use the knife, because as a housewife, most of my time is, as a housewife, I'm in the kitchen and I get the knives over there. That's easy, convenient for me. Okay. I said, yes, that's true. And I've learned that way back when I was young, but I found something better, on which you will agree after this, if you will let me speak. And then I continued and I said, instead of teaching you how to use a knife, I'm going to teach you how to use the pan. What? The pan? Yes. Because if I teach you how to use the knife, and if you're confronted with somebody who's skillful, all he's going to do is just grab the knife out of you and use that against you. And no man, okay, because man are really man, they're not going to take that pan and use it against you because they're man. They always have this thinking in my mindset that a punch or a fist can just knock you down. So that will be much more effective. It sounds kind of new, but it's effective and it's unique. And then I can say it's much more convenient if I teach you the right way, but not just to whack on. There's a simple way. There's a technique how to use it, not just grab the pan and then boom. There's a simple way. And then that's where the Sikh Paldakan gets in. Because Sikh Paldakan, Triana, is a type of system that is composed of non-telegraphic. It is like when you confronted with came by and just do walking and you come across with a snake, you see the snake running already, and there after that, oh my God, I got bit. So Sikh Paldakan is like that. It's composed of non-telegraphic. It's felt before it's seen, and that's what I found something unique. And then when somebody ask me what is the difference of Sikh Paldakan to Judo, Jujitsu, to Taekwondo, I also tell them there's no difference. There's no such thing as better martial art from the other. But I can say all martial arts have their own unique system. And then that's much more peaceful to hear.
And Denise, do you agree with that? Just is it all come down to kind of the same thing of being aware, trusting your intuition, and just using what makes sense, right? I mean, it's common sense, it sounds like.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
I mean, from the day we were born, we already know how to punch and kick. Even when we were in our mother's womb, we are punching and kicking inside. So it's instinct already, natural. But the thing is, because of technologies and I can say what is the trend or new generation activities that we do right now, especially kids nowadays, we call it in short distractions, like what Denise was saying. It's like looking at your cell phone, you're losing your awareness. We can do that after, but it takes a lot of patience, to be honest, to teach our kids. But if we strive and don't stop doing it, then it will make a difference at the end for sure.
And Denise, let me get your take on that. I mean, after hearing all that, and obviously, judo, jujitsu, it's kind of your background, your skills. How do you bring that out and make that, even if people are not taking that class per se, to keep those kind of mentality in your head and protect yourself throughout the day?
Well, it's kind of like when a mother or even just a woman, they have that certain special sixth sense, right? When your child is sick, when someone is not feeling well or hurt. That is what we try to hone into when we're teaching self-defense classes, because that's very important. I always tell my students, I said, when you get that funny, creepy feeling, that heebie-jeebie and your hair is standing up on your wrist, that's the feeling that you get. A lot of people are so used. No, you're never going to see that person again. Chances are you're never going to see that person again. So it's okay to say no. It's okay to tell them to back off. If you're feeling uncomfortable, then there's a reason for that. And so we as martial arts instructors try to make you understand and try to have you aware of those type of feelings that you get before. You need those instincts first. Like Ian was saying, instincts first, awareness, and then worry about taking care of yourself. Or you're taking care of yourself all the way around, not being, it's not a step thing. It's a whole encompassing thing of being aware, using your instincts, following your intuition, all of those little things.
And it's interesting that you brought up the fact that, we don't want to be rude. We want to be polite. And I think as Asian Americans, I think even more so, right? I mean, that's kind of our nature. We're trying to be nice. We don't want to be rude. We don't want to, put people off. Right. So I think that comes into play, right? I mean, do you experience that with maybe people in this culture, Denise?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, obviously in certain, like the Asian culture, specifically, I know my mother had taught me, oh, you can't do that, or you can't wear this, or you need to be careful because people are going to look at you all the time because you're not the same color, you're not the same race, and she's always telling us to kind of hone things down, be more polite, be more quiet, don't rock the boat, little things like that. Well, you know what? We have a voice. We have as much voice as everyone else. We're allowed to be here. We're allowed to be able to say what we need to say and stand up for ourselves. We need to get out of that. And I think now the younger generation is starting to do that. They're starting to see that they need to do that. But with that said, our younger generation needs to help our older generation who still has those culturally dismissive attitudes, So we need to help them and we need to guide them. As instructors, all we can do is guide and show them the path, right? We can't, we could say everything that is in our repertoire in regards to self-defense, but it's up to the individual and we need to show them that, changing your attitude, changing your philosophy just a little bit to be able to take care of yourself. I met a couple of my students, when I was teaching a self-defense class, I had a woman say to me, oh, I can't do that. I'm going to hurt them. I don't want to hurt anybody. So I asked her, I said, well, let me ask you this. If somebody was hurting your child, what would you do? So I'd kill them. Well, the same attitude that you have to protect your child is the same attitude that you should have for yourself, because who's going to take care of your child if something happens to you? Then they realize, yes, I need to take care of me.
And I think, Ian, that's probably what you do too, right? When you teach clients of all ages, of thinking that their safety is paramount. It's that's they have to save their lives. For example, like as you said, people sometimes don't think of what's around them. They think they're safe. That but a lot of it is just really understanding that your safety is the most important thing.
That is correct. Like I said, like what Denise was saying, and then I was saying earlier, it's all about we're just guiding every student, any age, you know, that we're just bringing back the old ways of having this strong sense, working with all those senses, using them again back. Because, like I said, all these distractions that we have right now, technologies and stuff, I'm not against those. I'm not against those, but it's just that we have to properly manage how to use it, in a right way that nobody will get hurt, you won't get hurt. So we're talking about really like safety and self-protection. And like I said, when you go out there, I have a short story to say.
Mm-hmm.
Problems exist because people makes them or did them. So it's the cause. It's because of them too. I have a friend way back, maybe 10 years ago. It was 2 o'clock in the morning, calling, keep on calling my phone, and then I finally answered. I woke up and answered, and he get mad because I never came to his birthday. So we have a date, just the two of us, to go to the bar, have a drink, just have a good time because of his special day. He got mad because I didn't came and because I got to work. I got so tired. I got a full day. I need to rest. To make the long story short, he never talked to me for 2 weeks. After that, he called and said, "You never called. So why should I? You're mad. Do you want me to get mad as well?" And said, "No, I don't want you to get mad. Tell me the truth. Why are you not talking to me? Because I want you to calm down. The reason why you get beat up on the bar is because you forgot something, what I told you. You go to the bar, what do you expect? People who are drunk. There's alcohol in there. You came by yourself. What you should have somehow you want to drink, grab a drink from the store, go home, and then you'll be safe." That's what I'm trying to say, that those things exist because people make them. And it's so easy sometimes, although we forget nobody's perfect. But like I said, instructors like Denise and all the instructors in the world, this has been our own main goal, is for safety, self-preservation. And it's not going to be that perfect, but if a student really listens and follow each directions or techniques carefully, then we can all have this thing in mind, which is to protect successfully in any type of attack, whether it be verbal, physical, or whatsoever.
That's
You know, just one thing is that I wanted to bring up point was, like Ian said, we're trying to teach you how not to be a victim with
Exactly.
anything else. Do not be a victim. And if we can teach that, and not just protecting yourself, but how not to be a victim, everything, your surroundings, your environment, the people you're with, don't be a victim.
Yeah. And let me have you help us wrap us up, both of you. I'll start with you, Denise. And I know you teach right now, Las Vegas Kung Fu Academy, and people can reach out if they have any questions and things like that. We'll put your contact back up too. But what are the biggest takeaways you want people to take, from this, either whatever age they are, whatever situation they could find themselves in? What do you want people to take away from this conversation?
Well, like I just said, I want them to understand we're here to guide you, to show you the path and how not to be a victim. That's the most important thing. I know that right now with the racism that's been going on, that's been really hitting, fortunately, Las Vegas has not been subjected to a lot of that yet, but that doesn't mean it's not going to happen. And it doesn't mean that it has already happened but we don't hear about it. It doesn't have to be on the news media to know that it's not there. We as Asians, we have to it's not a burden for us, but we belong here and we don't want to be a victim. So we need to make people aware that we are here and to be accepted.
Yeah. And Ian, what about your takeaway? What do you want people to take from this, from what's happening right now, and knowing that they have the power and the voice to protect themselves?
Okay. To add a spice to Denise, before I answer that, it's like the thing that's happening right now is this: people doesn't do anything not until something happens.
Mm-hmm.
You know, martial art is an investment. Yes, most people consider this as a hobby. Martial art or learning self-defense is not a hobby. It's an investment. It's a personal investment. People are so busy investing this, investing that. That's fine. But what about your life? You only have one life. You know, like the other superstitions, they say cats has 9 lives, but we're not cats. We're human beings. We only have one. And it's either cemetery or hospital. So, but if we do something right now, because I can't be there to help you out. The only person you can depend on is yourself. You can't depend on the cops. You can't depend on the firemen or emergency or frontliners or somebody. It's about you. So what are you gonna do? Even if you call Superman might be busy right now because of pandemic. But but to answer your question, Jana, the way I teach is I can say that Paldakan do is like a jack of all trades. If you're a student, this will be your technique. If you're a mom, this will be your technique. If you're a dad, this will be your technique. And if you're a dad, it goes on, it relies on what kind of profession you're having. If you're a doctor, if you're a construction worker, or whatsoever. So there's a certain technique in each, because there's certain directions, certain surroundings, certain locations that are really different from each other. So you cannot use the technique from the house and use, that I gave you, and use that when you go to the construction site. It's far more different. Right. So what I'm trying to say is, if there's let's say older people, I cannot teach them, how to punch fast and kick fast, but I can teach them what they have, using the umbrella, using the cane, and that will hurt if they follow instructions. So that's the uniqueness of SPD. So I can say martial art is there. People needs just need to wake up that we can stop this from happening if we come all together, bring back to our senses, let us instructors help you out, not to happen these things, because we can stop this if we do something. And of course, if we do nothing, then we expect for something to happen. But in order for this not to happen, let's start working all together. Not just read.
Yeah. Well, I think with everything that's happened, as you said, it's been a wake-up call, and that's why we bring you in, and we bring Denise in, to talk and have a conversation here. Mm-hmm. And I think this is just a start. I think people are going to be reaching out, hopefully, making their voices heard, reach out to you, reach out to Denise, and try to get more information at least. And it's good to know that Ian, you're providing online classes. We'll put up some information if people want to reach out to you. And Denise, I know you're right here in Las Vegas at the Las Vegas Kung Fu Academy. I'll be interested to maybe take some classes from you in the future here in Las Vegas.
Absolutely.
Denise, as well. No, it's great to hear. And I'm glad, just to have this conversation with both of you today. And thank you, everybody, for watching this episode of Family in Focus, another, day of great information. And thank you to both of my guests for taking the time to meet me today. Thank you, Denise, and thank you, Ian, joining us all the way from California.
Thank you,
and thank you. And we'll see you again on the next episode of Family in Focus, brought to you by the Asian Community Development Council. Have a great day.
Thank you.